Now I'm on the desert floor, and the temperature is creeping up over 125 degrees. But worse, only 2 hours after my encounter in the hive, the biggest threat to my survival has come from a tiny bee sting.
Been quite a brute of a bee sting, this. It's made all of, this part of me swell up. I feel a bit like the Elephant Man, my eye and nose, forehead swelling up.
Allergic reaction to bee stings can be fatal. I'm worried about anaphylactic shock. The first signs are swelling around the eyes, followed by difficulty breathing and loss of consciousness. It causes 1,000 deaths a year in the US.
Feels like a kind of big price to pay for a bit of honey. But if you risk nothing, you gain nothing.
My plan to follow the canyon down to a river has failed. And stepping back into the desert heat feels like entering a furnace. And still, I haven't found any fresh water. Before I can think about making a new plan, I need to get out of the sun, but the nearest shade is a rocky outcrop an hour's hike away, where I might find a cave.
In this midday heat, even this headdress, it's just getting roasting hot, and I've got to think of some way just to keep my head cool. And what I can do, though, is take this off and then pee on it. And it's pretty gross, but it's also not exactly going to smell very good. But luckily, there are not many people out here to be exactly very bothered. And it's really, really yellow pee, which is a sign that I'm definitely getting pretty dehydrated now. But at least this should keep my head a bit cooler. And at the moment, my head's just on fire. And yeah, it doesn't smell great. But this is really nice and cooling. It's better.
This headdress will keep me cool for a bit, but I desperately need to get into the shade.
It's just such a relief to find this cave. But I've also got to be pretty careful. Other desert animals might well have the same idea of looking for the shade, and especially snakes. And actually, if a snake is out in the hottest part of the day in the desert, they will die. They have to have this sort of shade. And a good way is just to lob a few rocks in. Just have a good look around before. But this is going to be perfect, I think, for me. Yeah, it looks clear.
Last year, a mountain biker called Kirk Rogers went riding in the Moab in 100 degrees heat. He took a wrong turn and got lost. The next day, his body was found a quarter of a mile from the trail, dead from heat exhaustion. Shady caves like this can literally be lifesavers. I'm going to try and get some rest here and move on at a cooler time of day. It's early morning, the best time to travel in the desert. And my main priority is still to find water.
And it's always a good idea when you get up first thing in the morning, any clothes you haven't been wearing or boots if you've taken them off, always tip them up or give clothing a good shake out, just because scorpions love to get into cool, shady places.
I'm down to my last few drops of water, and I desperately need to refill my canteen. One trick is to listen for insects. Bees and mosquitoes always live near water, and if I can find some of them, they might lead me to a spring.
I've heard somewhere in this gully, and this is just sort of place I like. It's cool, it's dark, and there's probably a little bit of moisture in the ground as well.
The sound of insects is a good sign I could be getting close to water.
And this is what I've been looking for. Just this line of mineral deposits. That's the indicator there's a seep somewhere nearby and water trickling out of one of these aquifers. And you can actually see this little pool of water that's formed here. And what's happening is it's filling up and then it's running away. And if I can just dig this out a bit and then dam it and stop that water seeping out, I'll get a good amount of water there. Probably in a few minutes that will fill up. And then I just need a way of collecting it and drinking it.
I'm looking for a plant called a trumpet flower. Native Americans use it as a pipe because it has a hollow stem.
But I can also use this as a drinking straw to get at that water, but I've got to be pretty careful cutting this, just because if I try and just break it off, it's going to splinter. So what I'm going to do is just score all the way around the bottom, and then the same at the top. And this means when I come to snap it off, it's going to come away cleanly. And that's going to be great.
The reservoir has filled up with water, and now I can use the straw to suck it out.
But the great thing about this is this whole process of the water seeping through this rock means actually, even though it looks pretty murky, this water is well filtered. And I can almost guarantee that this is better quality water than you get in most cities, just the tap water.
When you're dehydrated, it's important to drink slowly, as guzzling too much water too fast can make you vomit.
That's so good.
I've rehydrated and my canteen is full again. Now I need to come up with another plan for getting out of this desert. And the best way of finding a route is to survey the land from high ground.
What I'm looking for is just any signs of vegetation, you know, trees, bushes. I don't know if you can see that, but there's this line of vegetation along there, and that's the markings of a river. And in the desert where there's a river, there's almost always human habitation.
It doesn't look that far, but the route is far from flat, and I want to try and find food before I start hiking there.
I'm in the Sahara Desert in North Africa. Your chances of walking out of here are slim. The battle is just to stay alive. And if you reach one of these palm trees, it could be a lifesaver. Food, water, and above all, shelter.
One of your biggest enemies in the desert can be heat stroke, and it can come on so fast, literally in like just over an hour. And I've seen soldiers get it before and they're just completely incapacitated. But the first signs of it are just having a headache and just being really fatigued. And if you don't find yourself a shady spot soon, that's going to get worse. You're going to stop sweating as your body tries to conserve fluids, and then you're going to get dizzy, and if you don't get treatment, you can die. And already we've had one of our crew get heat stroke. He's had to be evacuated. And really, this desert is proving in many ways one of my toughest assignments yet.
In this sort of heat, you can lose nearly a litre of water an hour and you wouldn't even notice. If you don't drink, you won't have a hope. You need water whenever and wherever you can get it.
I kind of thought from a distance that maybe there'd be an oasis or something here, but there's not. But the Moroccans do say about these date palms that they have their heads in fire and their feet often in water. So I just don't know whether it might be worth Trying to dig down a bit here. The only risk of doing this is you end up just sweating more and losing more valuable fluids. Look, it's just all bone dry down here.
But never give up.
Bone dry.
Just a drop of water is better than nothing, and an old army technique I used might do the trick. A dew trap. Scrape a hole about 1.5 feet deep and line it with a few palm leaves.
And then the next thing I do is put rocks in on top of these. And it's these that are going to actually collect the moisture. And the way it works is as these rocks cool down overnight and then the sun comes up, you get that contrast between heat outside and the cool rocks, and that causes condensation.
To finish the trap, add more leaves on top. What little water there is in the parched air won't evaporate, and overnight the stones should collect a few precious drops.
Okay, that should do.
Rocks are dangerous though. They're great hiding places for deadly scorpions.
Yeah, here's one to show you. Wow, look, this is actually a fat tail scorpion. And these are one of the most poisonous scorpions in the world. Look at this, watch, if I put that there, it's trying to strike at it. And actually this has enough venom to kill a man.
If I was stung by one of these scorpions and I didn't get any help, I could be dead within 6 hours. The venom attacks your nervous system, which means convulsions and ultimately heart failure. At least 100 people die every year in Morocco from scorpion stings.
And you can actually eat these, even though they're super, super deadly, you can eat them. But the first bit I want to get rid of is his stinger. And look, him strike, strike, strike. Hold him down, take his head off, and then you can eat this bit. People often think if you get bitten by a scorpion or a snake bite that you should cut the wound and then try and suck the poison out. But that's actually one of the worst things you can do. What it does is then create an open wound for the venom to go into. You're much better off just staying calm, in the shade, keep the wound clean, and if possible, try and apply a little bit of pressure above the wound to slow the release of the venom towards your vital organs. But the nomads have a really good way of getting rid of scorpion stings. And what they do, they'll take the wound, they'll put it inside the stomach of a dying dog, and then the acid from the stomach will draw out the alkali from the sting. Cool way of doing it. I spotted some dates at the top of this palm tree, right at the top, and those would be really good energy if I can just get to them. Here, let me grab that camera off you.
If you've gone hours without fluids, you've got to get something to replace them fast. There are dates at the top of this palm tree which should do the trick.
Hopefully I'll get myself some supper.
It's about 30 foot tall, but I reckon I can shin up it. But watch out for loose bark. It can cut you to ribbons.
Needs to be, look, this is the stuff. You gotta keep your feet pressed into it like that and not put all your weight on one of them. It's hard work on the arms, this. Okay, I'm just gonna cut these down. I'm in quite a precarious position up here. Just my arms have been rubbed raw by this bark. But I found a good number of these dates. And they don't look very ripe. But actually dates are the best desert food. Massive sugar, lots of energy, vitamin C, but also lots of minerals to replace the salts that I'm losing. Sweating here. So let's try it. Oh, yeah, really, really bitter. But I want to eat as many of these as I can. Ow. Cut myself.
And for once the desert's on your side, the heat can help to heal any wounds.
If you're gonna make camp here, the first thing you need to do is find yourself something to insulate yourself. Ow!
The
And
heat's attacked you all day, but just when you could do with it at night, the desert has other plans. A mattress of woven palm fronds should help you survive.
sand is a notoriously bad insulator. It'll take a lot of your heat away. So that will just keep you off the sand.
Temperatures can plummet to freezing at night, so if you were to sleep out, you need a fire. There's no shortage of dry wood, and it's worth trying a friction firelight.
And all you need to do is break it like here. And that's going to be my base. And then out of this, just make like a spindle.
Smooth off the spindle, nick a hole at the base, and start spinning the stick to try and get an ember.
And the key with this is not rushing the early stages of it. Just take your time, and you want to do at least a minute, maybe even 2 minutes, of just steadily building up the heat at the bottom of the spindle.
And then you need to really go for it to get it going.
Let's see what we've got here. Ah, you dog! Ah, it's gone out. All that effort, and this time it hasn't worked. And you know, in many ways, I need to conserve my energy. It's no good just sitting here, pouring a sweat, going through that again. This time, I was going to try the flint and hope that makes it work. And if you were to spend the night out here, this would be really a great camp. And you got a bit of bedding, sun setting, and you got nature's TV.
I'm in the Sahara Desert in North Africa, in the foothills of the Atlas Mountains. My challenge is to somehow find a way down this monster and find water.
This must be 500 foot from the top all the way to the bottom. But what I can see out there looks like wadis, and wadis mean water.
There's so little in this extreme environment, you have to be prepared to do anything to get to it. I've just got to find a way to get down.
Well, I reckon this is just about possible. Risky, but possible. Okay, let's pass the camera. Okay, there we go. And down climbing is so often more dangerous and difficult than climbing up, just because it's much less natural. This stuff is all so loose. It's all sandstone, which in the climber's book is a nightmare to climb on.
One slip on this stuff could lead to serious injury and probably death, so you've got to watch every hand and foothold. Take it carefully. If you get stuck, you may not be able to climb back up or make it down. It's what we call being rim-rocked.
And that's happened to me before in New Zealand climbing, and it's very frightening. God, this whole thing's just collapsing. I've just got this last little bit of a chimney climb down there.
When you're doing one of these, use the opposing walls with your feet on each side and just slowly inch your way down.
Okay, I'm down off that. And it's looking much better from here. More of a scree climb down towards the wadis. remember as a kid, my late dad always used to take me climbing. And I think if I'm honest, at that age, it was as much about just wanting to be, close to him as it was about the actual climbing. I didn't necessarily enjoy being cold and wet up a mountain, but I did love hanging out with him. And it's funny how the wilds can so often create such strong bonds between people.
It can also bring out the best in you, as so often you'll find hidden strengths you never knew existed. But for now, I need water. There's got to be a wadi somewhere nearby. The heat is blistering. I must protect my head, otherwise I'm gonna cook.
But where I'm heading is there, to that gorge. And what I'm hoping is that I'll be able to find the source of this water and also some good shade.
These oleander bushes grow near water, but stay well clear. They're beautiful, but deadly.
What makes them oleander is the very distinctive 5 petals that they have. But all of this bush is poisonous. The flowers, the leaves, even the sap. And look, if you look down here, all of this white stuff, this is actually the dried out sap from the oleander. So if there's any water around here, it would be undrinkable. So I need to find a different water source.
They're nasty, those plants. Vomiting, bloody diarrhea and tremors are the least they can do. Putting you into a coma is the worst, and out here alone, that means death. Get hired to search for fresh water. Use the wildlife to find a safe source.
Look up there, look, birds. See just at the head of the gully there? See them? And that is a really good indicator there must be water somewhere nearby. They like to drink in the early morning and in the early evening. And actually you can also hear them. Listen to that. Yeah, that's definitely where I'm heading. Woo! Look at that. Fresh, cold, clean water running straight down here. I'll fill up this and my water bottle. Hey, look, look down here, look. See that? That frog? Where is he? God, they're fast little things, these. There he is. There he is, see that? So I've got water and I've got food. And this is a little Saharan frog, and I know he's good to eat. I can tell he's Saharan. He's green. He's got these little white spots on the back of his legs. If this was brightly coloured or if it had a big X on its back, I wouldn't want to eat this, but this is edible. And squeeze what remains of the guts out of him. And then all of that is good to eat as well.
Refueled now for what's ahead, and I'm gonna need it.
I've just reached a dead end here. Look, just sheer walls all the way around. I just don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. Look, you see, there's been a real scuffle and a fight around here. The victim's been dragged, look, through the sand here, down to this corner, and this is it. Like a little springbok. Oh, really stinks. But this is probably a leopard, just sort of place they like. Lots of little kind of caves for them. And the leopard would go straight into its soft underbelly, drink the blood, the soft organs. And then all that's left is this kind of rotting carcass. But this is too far gone for me. Although there's a little beetle. See that? Not exactly a nice bit of springbok, but there's nothing on this carcass for me. And really, I don't want to hang around if there's leopard around here. Okay.
Leopards are one of Africa's stealthiest killers, and they have attacked people. I've got to get moving, but keeping my energy levels up is a real battle.
you can survive without food for 14 days, but coping with the hunger is hard work. But in this barren desert, there's something that can help you.
I know a few people who could do with a bit of this cactus. It's called a hoodia, and it's like a natural appetite suppressant. And, you know, bushmen have used this for thousands of years as a way of keeping their hunger at bay. And what you do, if you get in, get some of this sap. Oh, man. Super bitter. It's like just drinking neat mosquito repellent. But, you know, in a survival situation where you've got limited amount of water, you really don't want to be eating a lot. It's just going to dehydrate you further. So something like this can really help you.
But in this environment, what you need more than anything is water. By noon, the temperature's scorching. It's like being cooked alive. Out here, your skin can burn within just 20 minutes. And if your core temperature rises dangerously high, you'll get heat stroke. I've been out since first light, and I really need some shelter.
Really, man, it's searingly hot out there, you know? It's probably over 110 degrees. But it's also a dangerous sort of heat. So you have this wind, so as soon as you sweat, it dries it. And then you just dehydrate more, so really you've got to try and find shade like this. And just take a bit of time to recharge your batteries.
This isn't wasted time. Use it to plan your next move. Resting up is crucial for survival, but I soon want to be on the move again to find water. I'm following a dried up riverbed and the signs are getting good. There are some plants here, and that can only mean one thing.
You can see all of this water. This is where it's coming from. It's like a spring. And, you know, this is the last thing you'd expect to find out here in the middle of the desert. Yeah, but sometimes when you think things are too good to be true, they are. All of this around me, all of this white, is salt. And I can tell you that this... that is so salty. Much saltier than seawater. So all of this is undrinkable.
It could be lethal. As water permeates through the rock, it becomes salinated by rock minerals. And just like seawater, you mustn't drink it. It'll just dehydrate you even more. Out here, thirst will be your constant companion. And if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. You need water, but don't be tricked by nature.
You might think this is a cactus, but you'd be wrong. This is actually a euphorbia, and these things are deadly. Look, if I get into this, see all of that white milky sap coming out? And yeah, as a general rule of thumb, anything with a white milky sap you want to keep well away from, but this especially, this stuff literally has been known to kill people. One of our crew got a tiny little bit on his finger, and a bit later on he's sweating, went to wipe his forehead, got a little bit in his eye, and really almost blinded him.
Even when it's dead, euphorbia's a killer. I've heard about some travelers who use dead branches to make a fire. Toxins seeped into the smoke, which poisoned their food, and the next morning, all 16 of them were dead. But there is a plant that can be a lifesaver.
This is a little dollar bush, and they're called dollars because look, these leaves look a little bit like coins. And you know, sometimes when you're in a place that looks so parched and dry, you think there's no water, but there is if you know where to look. And these plants are actually a really good source of fluid. And it tastes really bitter. You'd think it's not drinkable, but it is.
I'm in northern Mexico on the edge of the desert. I've noticed a lot of bees in the area, so I'm heading through the scrub to get to the hive and find some honey.
It's never easy, is it? Just wait there. Yeah, look, bees. Just seen them buzzing out of this little cave. And bees for me means one thing, honey. And look, you can actually see, you have a look in there. See the white honeycombs, about 5 fingers of them, just covered in bees. Need to be a little bit careful of these guys, especially if they're African bees and there's no way of telling the difference between them. But if they're African ones, they're the really nasty ones. Aggressive, swarming. If they go for you, they're just gonna cover you, sting you, and they've been known to kill people. But what I want to try and do is get to what they're making, which is the honey. The danger is, as soon as I start trying to probe in there a bit further, these guys are gonna come pouring out. God, there are a load of them in there, look. Make sure I'm really well buttoned up here. Not want a shirt full of angry bees protecting that honey. But look, then I just use this t-shirt. Also tuck my shirt in. Don't want them down my pants either. Okay, let's get this fire going. They're dive bombing me at the moment, and as soon as I get this going and get it smoking, the smoke should sedate them a bit and slow them down. Oh, I want to be a little bit careful because I don't want to burn them, because that's just going to annoy them. And then I'm going to end up in much worse trouble. And guys, if any bees go on you, don't brush them off or swat them. Just leave them. If you try and swat them, that's when they sting you.
By putting fresh vegetation on the fire, you can produce more smoke.
You can hear them beginning to go a bit mad now. Okay, let's get in there. See, that's what I'm after. Keep calm, bees. And it's trying to fight that temptation to swat at them when they're on your hand. Look, it's on my forehead. Forehead, go away. Go away.
Leaving my forehead exposed was a real oversight.
He's got one sting in. Look, one of them's got me just up here. Here, can you see it? Can you pull it off for me? Try and get the little stinger. And that's what you want to pull out. You can see that, and that's where they deliver it. But you know, one sting for a load of honeycomb isn't too bad. Look, you see there's still one little fella in that. Let's let him out. Let's see what we've got in here. Nice and sweet anyway. For such a small little flying thing, it doesn't half deliver a punch. Oh.
Now I'm on the desert floor and the temperature is creeping up over 125 degrees. But worse, only 2 hours after my encounter in the hive, the biggest threat to my survival has come from a tiny bee sting.
Been quite a brute of a bee sting, this. It's made all of, you know, this part of me swell up. feel a bit like the Elephant Man, all my iron nose, forehead swollen up.
Allergic reaction to bee stings can be fatal. I'm worried about anaphylactic shock. The first signs are swelling around the eyes, followed by difficulty breathing and loss of consciousness. It causes 1,000 deaths a year in the US.
Feels like a kind of big price to pay for a bit of honey. But if you risk nothing, you gain nothing. It's just this time it hasn't quite worked out.
Desert survival guides dictate that the best way to avoid heat and dehydration is to travel by night. But this rough terrain is scarred by deep, unpredictable chasms. It's not a risk I'm willing to take. I'm going to find somewhere to make camp.
Look, there's a whole cave up here. Check this out. This sort of place is going to be perfect. Still a few bones around. But by the look of these, yeah, these are brittle and way old. This hasn't been used for a long time. Only place I'm vulnerable from is the front. Actually, it might be worth trying to build some sort of defense here.
This part of Texas is home to a large and very active cougar population, known locally as mountain lion. Not a predator you'd want to bump into at night time.
Now this stuff is going to act as a kick-ass barricade. Look at it, it's called Devil's Walking Stick. See the spines along that? It's going to go straight through your fingers. But if you look down the bottom of it, there are no spines down here, which means I can make my defense out of loads of these. Okay.
I'm going to collect a few of these to place across the cave entrance.
Okay, that will do for this bit. Now if I make a fire in this corner, that's going to protect me here as well.
My plan is to make a fire using a method that's been around for as long as man has been making fire, the hand drill. No matches, no flints, just 2 bits of wood.
Even smoother once you got the bigger bits off. It's just to use some of this gravel, put it in your shirt, lay this in it, and it works like sandpaper. Okay, that's then the spindle made nice and smooth. And then for the base, you just use the end of this saltol.
Make a small well in the base called the hearth, then carve a notch in the side to allow the embers to fall out.
Just going to use this bit of bone as well as an ember pan to put underneath this hearth. And so much of fire is about just good preparation. Plan it well. And hopefully it'll work first time. Okay, that's a rough shape of it. And then what you want is just a tiny little pinch of sand. And that's going to add a little bit more friction when you're spinning this spindle. The key with this is not tiring yourself out too quickly. Slowly build up that heat, and then as the smoke starts to appear, you can start to speed it all up a bit. And the smoke is such an enticing sight when you know you're near to fire. You've also got to watch out you don't drip sweat off your nose into your ember pan. Especially important if you've got a big nose like mine. And what you want is a continuous plume of smoke coming from the ember pan. And then you know you got the potential to make fire. Yeah! Come on! Again, and super gently with this, just tip that in. And what you want to do is tip it like this so it stays as one ember.
This old bird's nest makes perfect tinder.
And then protect it. And sort of imagine you're trying to hold a butterfly. Not too tight that you're going to smother it, but not too loose that it's going to get away. Okay, there we go. Oh. Fire. Phew. And that's such a good feeling. Getting fire going just from a hand drill with no matches or anything. And you know, the answer to so much of survival is all around us. People have been doing this sort of thing for thousands of years. And we survive if we listen to them.
My fire going, I can skin this snake and get it cooked.
Take the rattle off, give that as a present to my little boy. And then the meat of this, and just roast on a bit of this devil's walking stick. Good thing about this, because of all the spikes, it's gonna grip to it really nicely. And then the green wood won't burn. The snake will cook. That's supper.
There's still light to collect some creosote bush for a mattress. They say that in survival terms, a good night's sleep is as good as a meal. Now I've got both.
And this is good stuff to sleep on. Not only because the bugs hate it, keeps them away from me, but also it masks my smell, which is going to help me keep the mountain lions away from this cave. Ow. Why is it that everything around here is either spiky, sharp, or out to kill you? Okay. And people often say that snakes taste like chicken. But you know what? They just don't. It's more like flame-grilled, sinewy bone and skin. Oh, I love a gentle drive in the countryside.
My mission is to show you how to survive long enough to make it back to civilization. All I'm taking are a few basic tools. My camera crew are coming with me.
We slow down in the hot sand, we're likely gonna sink, get stuck. So when the driver gives me the nod, I'm gonna have to jump. What a great way to start, the mouthful of sand. That's the car gone. Let's get into this.
It's still early, and the day is yet to heat up, so it's a chance to cover some ground and get to where the terrain could give me a little help. The higher I can get, the further I'm going to see, and I'm looking for signs of the most precious thing in a desert: water.
Even though I'm feeling strong, the truth is the battle with dehydration has already begun. And sand dunes like this bring that battle right to you. Just like syrup, all this stuff. Take 2 steps forward, then you slide back for 1.
Everything about the desert wants to suck you dry. But without exertion, there can be no progress. That's the constant battle here.
But in my search for water, I'm not much better off, you know? No sign of any rivers, no little patch of green that might indicate an oasis. It's just a lot of sand. But what I do know is that the prevailing wind here comes from the northwest.
The steep slope of a desert dune faces away from the prevailing wind, so I can read these to get a bearing. I know that to the west is the Atlantic, and that's where I want to head.
I'm gonna make a bit of an arrow here, just to indicate the direction I'm traveling.
If someone's looking for you and they come across a sign like this, it could make that critical difference to their search and to your survival.
Let's go.
Temperatures here can soar to 120 degrees, and the only way to keep cool is to sweat, up to 2 litres an hour. Out here, dehydration is your worst enemy. Water's your best friend.
That's a bottle empty. Oh, it's a lizard. Yep. Shot under here. Very nearly got him. You know, I could try and dig him out. To be honest, it's not really worth the energy and the sweat it would cause. Need to conserve both of those. It's his lucky day. Come on then. Very, very hot. Just draining, sapping. But like so many difficult things, it's just about putting your head down and keeping focus. Reach that dune, reassess, and aim for the next one. Just breaking it down to small bite-sized chunks. Bottom line is, it doesn't matter how good or smart or clever you are, without water you're dead.
A vital part of survival is always trying to remain alert to what's around you.
Yeah, that's unusual. See that mound of earth? It's a desert well. Okay, let me take the camera. Okay, I've got it. Actually, can't even see the bottom there. Let's count this down. 1, 2 seconds. Yeah, it's a good 50 foot down there, but it's also dry. Yeah, this could be long abandoned, this well. But look, there's trees over there, and these wells are dug down to the water table. You know, almost guarantee if I can get down there, dig into the sand, there's going to be water somewhere. Let's just try to work out how the hell to get down this thing without a rope.
Acacia trees surviving off the deep underground water could provide the materials I need.
Need a couple of long, straight branches. Actually, look, this one would be nice. As long as these poles are longer than the actual width of the well, I can then use them to get down. Well, I should be able to. This is something I've never tried before. Just dry off all the sap, and we're good to go with this. Okay. Okay. Then with the second one, try and get it into one of these cracks. There we go. Okay, that shouldn't be able to slip out, you know? Not sure whether it's a good or bad thing that I can't see the bottom. It's all the dust.
Falling 50 foot into a hole in the desert will most certainly kill you, so you have to get this right.
Got my legs shaking.
But with the base of the pole in position, your body weight jams both ends in tight, creating a kind of bridge. Alternate this from pole to pole, and you can make your way slowly down.
Yeah, this is working.
Even when you think things are going well and the temptation is to hurry, you gotta stay focused. Concentrate only on the next step. You can't afford a mistake here.
Oh, Dan, I definitely feel quite vulnerable down here. Not a good place to be stuck with no way out. Okay, get digging so we can get some more. They hear that I'm hitting water here. It's a darkling beetle. Another one there, trying to climb up the walls. And that's going to be a long journey. And probably one he's not going to make.
The foul taste of this guy could mean he's not what I think he is. He could even be toxic. The rule is, if in doubt, spit it out.
Do you know what? There's no point trying to get a load of these down me and ending up throwing up. It's just going to dehydrate me more.
Mud like this can be up to 50% water, and there's actually a neat way of getting yourself a drink.
I'll wrap all of this up and try and squeeze the moisture out of it. That's a little bit of water. Just kind of hoping for more, to be honest. I need to get out of here.
The technique for going up is just a reversal of the way I came down, but way harder. I'm climbing out of a dried up well in the Sahara Desert, and a pole has given way, leaving me dangling above a lethal drop.
Bad, bad, bad.
If this pole gives way, it's a 50-foot plunge to the bottom.
Give us a hand, give us a hand. Okay, I'm done. Closer than I like. I hate that feeling.
The deadliest threat to you in the desert isn't a rattler or bark scorpion, it's the lack of water, and knowing how to find it will save your life. Every hour out here is punishing. Using state-of-the-art telemetry, I'm going to measure my vital signs as I go on the search for water.
Okay, this is about 4 pints of water here. But in the desert, in the heat of the day, just walking, not running, not working that hard, you're gonna burn up at least that. So I'm gonna go out for about an hour, see what water I can find, and we'll see if we can make up the difference.
My body's core temperature is regulated by a set of mechanisms that fire into action the moment you have to operate in extreme conditions.
Desert survival is so tough. It's It's just a constant battle between trying to source as much water as you're losing out here.
By producing sweat, my body is able to cool my skin temperature through evaporation. My heart beats faster and sends blood to the extremities to regulate my core temperature.
Even though it's so hot and we're walking around, I'm not really sweating that much, because as soon as I sweat, this wind just dries it. So then what happens, your body sweats some more, and that's why you start to lose so much fluids. Guys, dig a still here, get the shovel in. We'll make it just a simple solar still. What we're going to do is line the bottom of this with plastic. Also, you've got to bear in mind it uses up a certain amount of energy to dig that pit. It also requires you have at least something that can improvise as plastic sheeting, whether it's a jacket or whatever. I'm just going to pee into this. If I collect the pee in the bottom like this, cover it with plastic, that's going to get hot in there, the pee's going to evaporate, and that water then is going to be drinkable. Okay, let's weight this plastic down with some sand, and then we'll just put a few stones in the middle. So as the pee evaporates, it's going to drip down into the cap. Okay, see what else we can find.
You can improvise a solar still from discarded plastic or even your jacket.
Get up into those canyons.
Rocky gullies will give you your best chance of finding water, which will have collected in run-off pools or been protected from evaporation under the shade of rocks.
Actually, it's probably quite a good place to find water down here. Natural funnel for all the rainwater down the rock to collect down here. And actually under here, it's going to be the most shade. The water's going to last the longest. Let's have a good dig down under this.
The sand traps rain runoff, and because it's always in the shade, it doesn't evaporate as quickly.
Yeah, see all of this? It's really damp sand. The challenge here is always extracting the water out of the sand. Okay, let's gather all this up. And then just twist it. There we go, we're getting some drips at the bottom of that now. It's not much, but it's something.
Even a few drops of sandy water is precious out here. Knowing where to find it is something you can only learn with experience and patience. Once you've attuned yourself, you can head straight for places that give you the best chance of finding water.
Okay, let's keep moving on.
Now I'm heading back to the solar still I made to see if I can collect any more water there.
You can see that evaporation taking place on the underside of the plastic here. Okay, probably about half an inch of water in there. Yeah, really, it's not much. And the good thing about stills is that once you've dug them once, you can keep reusing them. And as long as you've got enough plastic, you can actually then dig multiple stills, and that's how you start to get enough water to have at least a chance of surviving out here. Okay, let's get back, see how much we got here.
My core temperature has risen to just below 101 degrees. If I dehydrate further, my body's ability to sweat will reduce. After that, it's a chain reaction. My core temperature will rise fast into the danger zone, and if it goes above 104, it can be fatal.
So look, between all these techniques I've used to collect water, this is how much I've managed to gather. Okay, so you can see there how much I've collected. And bear in mind, I had to work a bit for that. I had to be ingenious, And that's how much I've ended up with. But that's how much I used up. Probably twice the amount I managed to gather. And that is why desert survival is so hard.
The stark truth is that your survival in the desert is dominated by the constant search for water. Knowing where to find it can prolong your survival. Your priority every single day is to find as much as you can and get yourself back to safety. I'm in the scorching Arizona desert. Ahead of me are the Sky Island Mountains, and up there it's cooler and there's a better chance of finding water. But there's a parched, dry lake bed I'm gonna have to cross first. Over the years, this desert has swallowed countless hikers without trace. It's a dangerous and deadly place to get yourself lost. In a brown, featureless place like this, anything brightly coloured is instantly visible.
It's a wreckage of a dune buggy or something. Actually, that's a wing. It's all parts from an ultralight. Some of this just might be useful. Yeah, even something like that. Look, that's pretty shiny. They'll probably polish up nicely as a signal mirror. If the sun comes up, you spot an aircraft, could use that to signal with. Yeah, there you go. Propeller. But it's well known that drug traffickers try and cross from the Mexican border using light aircraft and ultralight. This one's come to a sticky end. Just wondering whether, though, with this wind and these wheels, look, here's some more wheels here. And my reserve parachute as well, whether just might be able to improvise something to get me across here way faster than I'm going to be able to walk. One man's junk, there's another man's treasure. Okay, let's get this parachute out and see if this is going to fly. Truth is, I have no idea whether this is gonna work.
In the desert, you've always got to balance the amount of energy you use against any possible benefit. But sometimes you've got to take risks.
It's definitely strong, the wind! Hold on, I need the buggy! I need the buggy!
Things don't always work out the way you hope, but being resourceful and adapting is so often the key to survival.
Huge amount of power in this! Okay.
Whoa. With the sun reflecting off the dry lake, temperatures here can rise to over 100 degrees. So you want to get out of here fast.
Whoa. We're off! Woo! Well, it's a bit of a jerry rig, but it's working! And survival is all about efficiency. Trying to cross this lake on foot is gonna burn out way more energy and dehydrate you way more than using the power of the wind. And really, it's all about the end goal. You just gotta keep improvising, and not everything's gonna work. You just gotta keep trying.
As this buggy races me over the dry lake bed, the wind from my forward movement helps cool me down. But in the desert, things rarely go according to plan.